Welcome to Martini Time. It's using my father's watch. It's always 5 o'clock, no matter what time I do this. So, let me see where my monkeys will take me. I have one monkey, two monkeys. So I have a monkey mind. And when I do Martini Time, you never know what I'm going to land, when I'm going to grab onto. So, I'm not making my martinis as strong as I used to. I used to fill them up to here. So what I wanted to talk about tonight was the wisdom of Anthony Bourdain. I have the misfortune or the good fortune of discovering him after he died. So I've been watching his programs on Netflix, which is the CNN version ones, and then the ones before that were No Reservations, which are on YouTube, which were the earlier ones. And so I've been watching them and fascinated with them because it brings, there's a message in the delivery system as well as in the content, which is each program has content. But then there's the delivery system, which is the real message. And that's the one we don't miss because it's kind of subliminal. And so I refer back to Marshall McLuhan, who was a philosopher. And the one thing he said that I remember that has percolated in my mind is that the medium is the message. The medium is the message. But we are conditioned in our culture to think the content is the message. So the content is what comes on the plate. But the plate is the delivery system. And the plate, the message of the plate is subliminal, and what's on the plate is not liminal, but the message on the plate is subconscious, but the message, the plate as a delivery system is subconscious. What's on the plate is conscious. So when we are delivered a Bourdain meal, which is the program, we are conscious of what he's experiencing and sharing, where he is, what he's eating, what he's saying, the pictures. But we're not conscious of the delivery system, which is the real message. Just like with advertising. Advertising has a content message like, oh, this cigarettes give you real pleasure. But the meaning of the ad is to get you hooked on the cigarettes. See? So the ad delivers pleasure, but what you get when you buy the cigarettes is misery. So usually there's anyway, you get the idea. So let's look back at Anthony Bourdain as the wisdom of Anthony Bourdain. So if you look at the delivery system, so let's do a little outline because he repeats the pattern. The pattern is that he drops into a new country and he has no expectations, so he's open to explore, and he finds some cooks or chefs in that area, and they are served the meals that are created in that area using the local food, the local cuisine, the local talent, what the area is famous for. And so he's experiencing these new tastes with gusto. And in the meantime, he talks about the area. But what he shows you is people making a life out of what they've got. If he goes to Cuba, they're making a life out of junk, old cars, broken down buildings, whatever's given. So wherever he goes, people are making a life out of what's given. And they joyously participate in their life, even though from our standards, their life, those conditions are terrible. I couldn't be happy there. But they're making a life. They're joyfully participating in what's given. And they create this wonderful foods, you see. Even out of twigs or whatever. God knows the things he will eat. But, wonderful, wonderful. We're going, ooh, good. You see, chicken heads, ooh. And, oh, wonderful. So the medium is the delivery system, is the mess. So the message is kind of like MacGyver. Remember that TV show? So MacGyver gets in a fix, but he always gets out of the fix by using creatively what's given. He doesn't come with a backpack full of tools. He never has any tools. He makes tools out of what's given. He puts this together, puts that. It's like a cook. Hey, you got this? There was one show I watched the other night in Japan called Raw something. I don't know what. But it was where all these chefs came together for a weekend cookout where they had to go forage in the woods, climbing up in the mountains and finding herbs and sticks and whatever they could find, and then coming back and making a recipe, making a meal out of that. Then they were presentations. They were forms of art, you see. One of them even had a twig in it. One of them had a rock in it. But the point was, they were creating life out of what's given. Now this is a spiritual message. So the delivery system of the Bourdain shows is a spiritual message. And that's why the show is a metaphor. The way I understand and try to share metaphor, the metaphor is that you can joyfully participate in life when you accept and use what's given to you. So if you are retired on Social Security like me, about that close away from poverty, I joyfully, and I don't go anywhere, I joyfully create these talks out of what's given. So what's given is what I watch on TV or talk about on Facebook or whatever, or what happens to me on the weekend or during the day. That's what's given. So I joyfully create a meal out of it, and I serve it to you. I'm a cook. Or I call it a martini priest, you see. So this is a metaphor, you see. So the spiritual message of Bourdain, the wisdom for Bourdain, is that you can joyfully participate in the suffering of life when you die to your expectations. So when he goes on a trip, he has no expectations. Oh, it should be this way. Oh, no, it's not like that. Oh, I expected this. Oh, bummer. There's none of that. It's always, show me what, I want to see who you are, what you've got. You can say, I'm open. And then the cooks, of course, then are metaphors for that creative use of what's given. And the one taste, the joy of the senses, the joy of life. The joy of eating. You see, joy of eating is a metaphor for the joy of life. It's a communion, the joy of communion. All of his eatings are with joyful people. They're all laughing and having a great time. He's not off eating by himself, you see. It's always a communion. It's always a joyous communion of the fruits of the area, what the area has given them, what life has given them, even though from our standards, it's a very poor area. Goes to Libya after it was all destroyed by the Civil War. And he has a great feast on the beach where they kill a sheep for the feast. Right there. So that's This sacrifice is also part of Bourdain's wisdom. What do you have to sacrifice? Your expectations. You have to sacrifice your ego. Ego is all about expectations. Comparing mind. Oh, I don't like that. I like this. So that's no good. This is less. Why isn't it like that? Well, why don't you all have computers? And why aren't like us, you see? See, the comparing mind. The expectational mind. Sacrifice it. Kill it. And then you feast on the joy of life, which is suffering. Life is letting go. That's suffering. Letting go. Dying. Letting go is suffering. But it's joyous when you choose it, when you participate in it willfully. And that is, we'll end with that, the message of Christ. The joyful participation in the suffering of life requires that you give up your expectations and your comparing mind and your fault finding and your blaming. All of that. Sacrifice it. Kill it. And then you participate in the resurrection of life. So Anthony Bourdain is a very Christian message, because he is having every show is a Last Supper. Every show is a death and resurrection. So anyway, that's my evening meal. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for dropping in.